We do have to look at price because it's a measure of its trust. It's following very closely previous halving cycles, and that implies Bitcoin should be around 150,000 in the near term, but could easily get close to 500,000. At 500,000 per Bitcoin, it would still be less than the value of gold today. And I think Bitcoin will surpass the value of gold, which would put the value much closer to $1 million per Bitcoin.
In this market analysis, we have a massive update from Tom Lee, who shares his latest insights and predictions for the Bitcoin market. In a recent interview on the Global Money Talk channel, he discusses the current state of Bitcoin, along with other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Solana. He also provides his outlook on the overall market. If you're new here, we hope you'll consider subscribing by the end of the video.
Is there at any point you would take profit on Bitcoin in the near or medium term?
I think Bitcoin is something you don't want to own if you believe there's another way to measure trust. I think that's many years away because even the United States may potentially own Bitcoin as a reserve asset. That is a huge endorsement of the security of the Bitcoin blockchain.
In terms of the other coins, are you as bullish? Anything that other than Bitcoin that you're as bullish? Ether or Solana, some of the other bigger coins?
We've followed crypto for 7-8 years now, and we've seen many what they call altcoins come and go. I think the most important thing to think about if you're going to buy altcoins is, number one, if you're investing in an altcoin, you should measure how useful that token is or the size of the community. By that measure, Ethereum and Solana look like very credible blockchains, layer 1 blockchains. But the second thing to keep in mind is that when crypto is in what they call crypto season, when it's in a bullish cycle, the altcoins do very well. So if Bitcoin can go from 90,000 to 500,000, many altcoins will do better, but those are not investments, those are trades.
What do you think your Bitcoin percentage ought to be in sort of a model portfolio?
I generally don't try to advise people on allocation because how much someone puts into bonds, and bonds are less risky, depends on their tolerance for risk and their age, and also how much money is in the stock market versus their total net worth. So those are 3 variables that I don't know, and that's why we don't usually advise an allocation mix. But I can say that we've recommended initially, when we first wrote about Bitcoin, that investors put 1% into Bitcoin. And if they didn't sell that Bitcoin, even with the stock market gains, it's now 40% of their portfolio. Our second suggestion was 0.5% into Bitcoin and 0.5% into Ethereum. And that is now 80% if they didn't rebalance. Today, we're recommending at least 2 to 5% into Bitcoin, but that is as a commodity or alternative exposure. Because if they invest 2 to 5% of their money and somehow crypto goes to zero, they didn't lose everything. But if Bitcoin reaches some of the targets we expect, then Bitcoin could end up becoming 50% of their portfolio again.
Being a very strong Bitcoin bull with a 1 year and 5 year forecast, if you would like to tell the audience what you're thinking they might be and why you feel so strongly about Bitcoin.
To us, Bitcoin represents one of the most trusted assets in the world because we're living in a digital age where AI and cybersecurity threats have really undermined trust in both dealing with each other, but also in financial institutions. The Bitcoin blockchain is still the most secure ledger in the world. It has not had a single hack in its 14-year history. And that means the price of Bitcoin represents the value of trust in a trustless world. We've been recommending Bitcoin for 8 or 9 years, and it remains, in our view, a core asset. If we look at the price performance of Bitcoin, and we do have to look at price because it's a measure of its trust, it's following very closely previous halving cycles. And that implies Bitcoin should be around 100 to 150,000 in the near term, but could easily get close to 500,000 in 5 years. At 500,000 per Bitcoin, it would still be less than the value of gold today. And I think Bitcoin will surpass the value of gold, which would put the value much closer to $1 million per Bitcoin.
Given the results of the election and what we know so far about the cabinet picks, what is your view on how the markets look and what they might be in 2025 in terms of equities, in terms of bond yields, crypto, as well as commodities, if you take those in turn?
Trump is one of the most market-friendly presidents ever, meaning he's going to focus very much on and rate his presidency based on how the stock market does. And so that's good for investors, because if he introduces policies that worry markets, like deficits too big or tariffs too aggressive, he'll see it in the stock prices. I think the safest way to navigate this from our perspective is to focus on things that we all agree he'll pursue. Deregulation, pro-business and market-friendly, which means financials and small caps, but he does want to make the government more efficient and even do tariffs. So I think multinationals are a little more challenging, and industrials like defense would be challenging, and of course negative for healthcare and energy. And then from a crypto perspective, it's clear to me that he's pursuing a very pro-digital assets platform. I mean, he ran on the idea of Bitcoin potentially becoming a reserve asset. Almost all of his key advisors are large owners of Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin is going to be very central to the White House initiatives over the next 4 years, which of course is positive for Bitcoin. To me, over the next 4 years, there is a White House put. If the stock market starts to fall, this is going to drive some action or communication from the White House. As you know, whenever there's been a Fed put, when the Fed is dovish, then investors are confident buying stocks regardless of circumstances, because they know the Fed is protecting the stock market. Over the next 4 years, we might have both a White House put and a Fed put. I think that's very positive for stocks. I wouldn't overthink it.
The price of Bitcoin increased to about 4% to $97,800 on Friday, bringing its year-to-date gain to nearly 4% since January 1st. 2025 is shaping up to be a pivotal year for the crypto industry. President-elect Donald Trump has promised a more favorable regulatory environment, sparking hope that Congress may pass its first crypto-focused legislation, possibly targeting stablecoins or market structure reforms. Traders are also keeping an eye on new opportunities, including crypto-related IPOs and potential progress on a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. While Bitcoin ended 2024 on a decline after briefly surpassing $100,000, it still recorded a remarkable 120% gain for the year. Many long-term holders took profits, while others sold due to renewed concerns about Federal Reserve interest rate cuts expected in 2025, which added to market uncertainty. If you found this explanation helpful and easy to follow, consider subscribing to our channel. We're here to provide clear updates, track the latest trends, and share expert insights to keep you informed about the crypto world. Thanks for watching.